In fact, all of us, and it's not working. Yes. Okay. So once again, welcome to my presentation. In fact, by now, all of you know about the recent achievement of government of Bangladesh about the reduction of open defecation. It's now almost 1%. And if you look at the trend, in 90 it was 34%, in 2000 it was 19%, and in 2015 it's only 1%. So what an achievement, landmark achievement. Does it mean that the problem has been solved? Not really. In fact, we have ended up with a new generation or second generation problem called fecal sludge management. I think I have to, no, it's not working. So let me try this way. Sorry. So does this problem has been solved? Not really. Now we have ended up with the second generation problem that is called fecal sludge management. In fact, every day in our country, 80,000 metric ton of waste gets generated, and out of that, only 1% waste gets treated. So what happens to the rest of the waste? In fact, if I tell you the story, I mean not really story, some facts and figure of Dhaka city, you will understand how this waste is being disposed in the environment. So many of you already know the statistics about Dhaka, and in Dhaka actually roughly 1/4 of the city area is under the sewerage network. And what is happening to the rest 80% area where there is no sewerage work? In fact, in that 80% area, 55% households are not having any septic tanks, and not having any septic tanks. And what is happening to the households having no septic tanks? Where the sludge is going? In fact, the sludge is being discharged directly to the surface drain or storm sewage. It's very common in our country. And you know that around 35% people are living in the slum areas, and most of them are using different types of pit latrines. So all the sludges from all these pit latrines, as well as the septic tanks who are using septic tanks, are basically discharged in either open bodies or open water bodies, or randomly disposed here and there, and which is equivalent to 61%. So only 39% waste is basically either some form of, they are disposed in a designated place or buried underground. So that is not also scientific. So what are the problems? The first problem and foremost problem is people actually don't know. People don't know that where the sludge is going and what's the impact. And you can ask to your person sitting to your next, and I'm sure he won't be able to answer it. And many of us actually not able to answer this question, that where our sludge is going. And there is another reason, that due to rapid expansion of pit latrines, especially in low-income communities and slums and other areas, and all through Bangladesh as well, the pits are filling up quickly, and there is no proper mechanism for dislodging. And in most cases, irrespective of the context, rural and urban, waste is being disposed by manual emptying. And in case of city and municipality, they don't have any proper plan for fecal sludge management. Dhaka Wasa has recently done its master plan completed. There are provisions for decentralized wastewater treatment plants, sewage network and whatnot, but it is unlikely to happen because of the space constraints, and you can imagine the situation of Dhaka very well. There are master plans for all the municipalities, and most of them are under preparation, but in each of the master plans, they kept the provision of a place, designated place, for solid waste management, not fecal sludge management. In fact, let me update you with few recent developments. The National Strategy for Water Supply and Sanitation has recently been approved, and the good news is that there is a dedicated section on fecal sludge management within this strategy. Right now, there is a institutional and regulatory framework for fecal sludge management, which is under approval process, and very interestingly, this particular framework says the roles and responsibilities of different stakeholders. So there was a gray area because the stakeholders were not sure about their roles and responsibility with respect to fecal sludge management. Now this regulatory framework might be able to resolve that problem. Department of Public Health and Engineering, they are basically preparing, constructing few FSM plants in different Purosabhas, municipalities, but unfortunately those are kind of dumping place, not proper management. We can't call it proper management, and they are just constructing the plant and a plant of some form and handing over to the Purosabhas without establishing any proper management system. There are many NGOs and other organizations, they are doing a little bit of work in this regard, but most of them are kind of experimental basis, small or medium scale, but unfortunately, we don't have any citywide full service value chain for fecal sludge management in this country. So, at the same time, we never think of other opportunities around it, and we didn't consider other options and possibilities. So let's see other side of the coin first. In case of Bangladesh, we roughly use 3.5 million tons of fertilizers every year, and of which we import 2.5 million. And government provides huge subsidy for this fertilizer, chemical fertilizer. It is as much as 66% of its original cost. And due to over-application of chemical fertilizer, the soil structure is deteriorating, and the organic content, which is the lifeline of soil, this is basically reducing, and ideally it is supposed to be around 50%, and now it came down to less than 2%, which is really alarming for us. And we never considered the potentials of using sludge. Hypothetically, if we can convert the entire amount of sludge into compost, it will turn out to be 3 million tons, which is more than the amount we basically import. And the use of this very compost or even organic fertilizer could improve the soil health and save the environment. And most importantly, it can also restore the human dignity by avoiding cleaning of pit manually. And what could be the way forward to fecal sludge management? In fact, we need a comprehensive planning linking both sanitation sector and agriculture sectors. There are two complete different value chains exist here. One is sanitation service value chain that starts from collection, transportation, treatment, and up to the product. That product could be compost, product could be energy, product could be fish feed, whatever. And then the second value chain that can be called as product value chain. that starts with the nature of product. So product, its marketing, its use up to the user level or client level. Now what to do when we are thinking of a full sanitation service value chain for a municipality? The first thing you need is to aware and sensitize the people. And you have to clarify the roles and responsibility of different stakeholders. It's not only the municipality, it's also the roles and responsibility of users. That is very important. Setting tariff and management is extremely important. And another important thing is feasible technology. We have to explore more. It's not only we will depend on the co-composting. We can also think of in pseudo-composting, biogas plant, production of energy and whatnot. And finally, what should be the reuse pattern? Research and development is extremely important. At the outset of this, the beginning of this presentation, Dr. Rabbani was telling you, and some of the research topic might come out from this session, and you can think of, actually we need standard technologies for compost and organic fertilizer production that should be developed, disseminated and promoted. Research should be undertaken to enhance the quality and effectiveness of the organic fertilizer, because in any way compost has to compete with the organic fertilizer. Unless you prove it to a certain level of efficiency, it's very difficult to compete in the market. And finally, you need to introduce a standardization of the products, composts and organic fertilizers. But the most important point is creation of business enabling environment. And to do so, the first thing you need is to simplification of the conditions and licensing of compost, and it takes hell lot of time, not less than 2 years. So how to reduce this time factor is a very important issue, and that is definitely a policy issue. And the creation of policy environment. Let me tell you here one point. Basically, business enabling environment for one product could have adverse impact on the other product. Like here, the excessive subsidy in chemical fertilizer is creating hindrance of promoting soil or promoting organic fertilizer. So if you have to provide a business enabling environment for the fertilizer, especially the organic fertilizer, you have to balance that. And you have to introduce some sort of incentive or subsidy for organic fertilizer, as well as there should be policy indication like organic fertilizer must be used, or it should be mandatory by the government. So that sort of strategic direction is required from the government. And finally, we have to encourage entrepreneurship development, and that should be for both sanitation sector, that is the service value chain, and product value chain for the agricultural sector. And you need to build capacity, and the first thing should come inclusion of this into the curricula of technical institutions. And I think we can also think of that, and not only, the School of Science or Engineering students should be knowing that. Definitely the agriculture students studying in agriculture university, they should also know it, and these should be linked with the R&D which I mentioned earlier. And city authorities, they should know how to run and manage the system. As I mentioned earlier, that DPHE is constructing the plants and handing over without knowing and giving them knowledge how to manage and maintain that. So that is a serious issue. And private sector should be also be supported for extending their services, not only for solid waste management, which we are used to at our home. They are collecting day-to-day waste, but we should also think how they could be involved for giving us the service for Faecal sludge management. And we need to strengthen the technical capacity of the compost producer, which is extremely important, and that is in terms of production, supply and marketing, and that is for compost producer, dealers and the users, at farmer levels as well. Finally, in fact, the bridging between sanitation and agriculture sectors are very essential. We have to think beyond the sanitation sector. We have to work with the Department of Agriculture Extension We have to work with Bangladesh Fertilizer Association's research institutes like IRI, BARI. We have to work with the academic institutes, and finally, and most importantly, we need to work with the market chain actors of organic fertilizer, including manufacturers, dealers, sub-dealers, retailers, and up to the end users. So, the final clicks will be only then when basically we could simultaneously prioritize both the advocacy agenda in relation with the fecal sludge management and the promotion of organic fertilizers, and basically we can advocate at policy level for promoting or for balanced fertilizer application for protecting the soil health and soil fertility management. So it's not only managing the waste, but how you could improve the soil, save the soil, and ultimately save the environment. That should be our slogan. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.